Hello students, welcome to the PG Pathshala. I am Ashok Goyal from the Department of Physics and Astrophysics. Today we are going to discuss about small oscillations, part 1 from the paper of Classical Mechanics. After studying this module, you should be able to understand and analyze the motion of a complex dynamical system in the potential field for small oscillations, which is of great importance in physical uh, situations. You will learn to obtain the eigenfrequencies and eigenvectors of the motion, and you will also learn about the concept of normal coordinates. So far, we considered the motion of a particle with few degrees of freedom in a central force field and solved the Lagrangian equation of motion to study its dynamical evolution in space and time. Now, if you have a complex system which have many particles which are coupled together by forces which may be very complicated or could be simple. Forces could be, for example, harmonic forces or any other complicated force. Particles may be in the presence of a complicated electrostatic force or some other force. Then it is clear that the coordinates of any one particle will depend on the behavior of the coordinates of the other particles, and the problem in general would be very complicated and difficult to visualize. It will, however, be possible to make a transformation from Cartesian coordinates with simple time dependence. In the case of system executing small oscillations, these generalized coordinates would oscillate with single well-defined frequencies. Such coordinates are called normal coordinates. So, we have to make a transformation from Cartesian coordinates to some other coordinate the in which the expression of the dynamics of the problem becomes simple. And in terms of these these coordinates, which are the generalized coordinates, the system will execute well-defined simple harmonic motion. Such coordinates are called normal coordinates, and for suitable initial conditions on Cartesian coordinates and velocities, the subsequent motion will indeed take place with a single frequency. The general solution of the system would indeed entail a combination of the normal mode solutions. Let us formulate the Lagrangian formulation of the system. So, we consider a dynamical system with n degrees of freedom is specified by some generalized coordinates q1, q2, qn. It is assumed that the system is conservative such that the potential energy of the system U does not depend on the time explicitly and is a function of generalized coordinates alone. That is, U is a function of generalized coordinates U1, Q1, Q2, Qn. This system is in equilibrium when the generalized force acting on the system are 0. So, this is the definition of equilibrium. The system is in equilibrium when the generalized forces acting on the system are 0. That is, generalized force Fi being defined as the partial derivative of u with respect to Qi evaluated in equilibrium is equal to 0. Potential energy thus has an extrema. It has it has an extremum value in the equilibrium position specified by the set of generalized coordinates q1. So, q1 0, q2 0, qn 0, etc. are the generalized coordinates in equilibrium. The equilibrium will be stable if this extremum of the potential energy is a local minima which means the potential is a local minima, which means that a small disturbance from equilibrium will result in an increase in the potential energy, and since the system is conservative, this will lead to a decrease in the kinetic energy, and the system will revert back to its equilibrium position. The total energy is the sum of kinetic and potential energy, which for our system, which we assume to be conservative, is constant. Therefore, this deviation from the equilibrium position results in the increase of potential energy, which will mean a decrease in the kinetic energy, which results in a decrease in the velocity, and which will finally come to zero. The system would thus have a bounded motion about its equilibrium position. In the case of unstable equilibrium, the potential energy function has a local maxima, and any deviation from equilibrium would result in an increase in velocity and will give rise to unstable motion. We will be interested in the dynamics of the system near its stable equilibrium position. In other words, we will confine ourselves to the discussion of the system for small deviations from the equilibrium position. This is a very important characteristic, which is that even if we are ignorant about the detailed knowledge of the potential energy function, then even then, in the limit of small departures from the equilibrium position, the Taylor series expansion of the potential function u allows us to consider a small departure from equilibrium as a potential which is harmonic. Thus, for small departures, the system will always execute motion as if the interaction is simple harmonic. This can be seen very easily. Let the deviation of the generalized coordinate qi from the equilibrium is denoted by eta I, that is qi is equal to qi0 plus eta I. Now, the potential energy function is a function with generalized coordinates q1, q2, qn. Expanding this in Taylor series about the equilibrium position, which is qi0, then first three terms of the Taylor's expansion of u are shown in the equation 14.4. First term corresponds to the potential energy evaluated at the equilibrium position. Second term involves the derivative of the potential energy with respect to the generalized coordinates evaluated at the equilibrium position into the departure from the equilibrium, and the third term as a second derivative of u evaluated at the equilibrium multiplied by eta I, eta j. Now, the condition of equilibrium is that the generalized force is 0, which is means du by dqi in equilibrium is 0. Therefore, the first term is a constant, so only term remains is this quadratic term. Therefore, from the equilibrium condition, the potential energy can be written as half sigma over I and j uij into eta I, eta j, where uij the second derivative of u at the equilibrium value of qi's and is constant. Clearly, the potential energy function is symmetric in I and j, that is uij is equal to uji. The kinetic energy of the system is sigma over I half mi vi square. Vi square is ri dot ri dot. Now, the position vector ri can be expressed in terms of generalized coordinates. For a conservative system, the functional relationship between the coordinate ri and the Cartesian coordinate ri and the generalized coordinates does not depend on t explicitly. Therefore, the ri is simply a function of q1, q2, qn. From here, ri dot can be written as the total derivative of ri with respect to t, and by the chain rule, a sigma over j dri by dqj dot. Substituting in the expression for kinetic energy, we have T, the kinetic energy is equal to sum over I half mi sigma over j dri by dqj dot plus sigma over k dri by dqk dot. Thus, the kinetic energy can also be written as a quadratic term in terms of generalized velocities. So, T is half sum over j and k aij qj dot qk dot, where the quantities a, j, k are symmetric in k and j. So a, j, k is equal to akg, and it's given by sigma over I mi dri by dqj dot into drj by dqk. The Lagrangian of the system can now be written as L is equal to T minus V very easily, and the Lagrangian is then half sigma over AJK multiplied by eta j dot eta k dot minus UJK eta j eta k. Now the Lagrangian equation of motion is d dt or dl by d eta I dot minus dl by d eta I in terms of these departures from equilibrium position. Therefore, the Lagrangian equation simply becomes a set of equations given by sigma over j aij eta I double dot plus sigma over j uij eta j is equal to 0. So thus, we have a set of n second order linear homogeneous differential equations with constant coefficients. Let us discuss what we mean by eigenvalues and eigenfunctions. Equation 14.4 has an oscillatory solution of the form eta j at the time t is equal to aj exponential I omega t minus delta. Aj's are real amplitudes and delta is an arbitrary phase. So we have two arbitrary constants as required by the solution of a second order differential equation. These two arbitrary constants are determined from the initial condition. The frequency omega has to be real, as can be seen from physical reasons. For if omega has an imaginary part, the solution eta j would have a term in the form of exponential minus some at or exponential minus at or exponential at, and energy would have then terms like these which will increase or decrease with time. But we have considered a conservative system in which the energy is conserved. Thus, omega has to be real. The equation of motion becomes sigma over j uij minus omega square into capital Aij, the whole thing multiplied by aj is equal to 0. Now, notice that this is a set of n linear homogeneous algebraic equations satisfied by these amplitudes aj's. Now, from algebra you know that for a non-trivial solution to exist, the determinant of the coefficients must vanish. The determinant uij minus omega square aij must be equal to 0. So, putting the determinant equal to 0 is an equation which is called the characteristic equation or a secular equation of the system. Since I and j vary from 1 to n, it is an equation of degree n in omega square and therefore has in general n roots, omega 1 square, omega 2 square, etc. The omega r's thus obtained are called the eigenfrequencies of the system. If more than two eigenfrequencies are equal, they are called degenerate. Since there are n frequencies omega r, for each frequency we have a set of aj's. Each set can be considered to define the components of an n-dimensional vector, A of r. This n-dimensional vector AR is called the eigenvector of the system. And this eigenvector is associated with the frequency omega r. Now, if we write capital U and capital A as matrices whose components are uij and aij respectively, the earlier equation 14.16 can be written in the matrix form, matrix U minus omega r square into matrix A, acting on the vector A is equal to 0. Then by the principle of superposition, since we have homogeneous equation, linear homogeneous equation, the general solution for eta j would be a superposition of all solutions for each of the n values of frequencies. Therefore, the general solution eta j at time t can be written as a linear superposition j sigma over r ajr e to the power I omega rt minus delta r. Now, we will show that the eigenvectors which we have defined here are orthogonal. The eigenvectors AR form an orthogonal set. To see the sth root corresponding to omega s, if we consider the sth root corresponding to omega s, then the characteristic equation is given by sigma over j uij ajs is equal to sigma over j omega s square capital Aij ajs. And similarly, the equation for the rth root can be written down. Now u and a being symmetric, then we have sigma over I uji ajr is equal to sigma over I omega r square AJI into AJR. Now multiplying equation 14.21 by AJR and equation 14.22 by AJS and sum over J, we obtain omega r square sigma Ji AJR AIS is sigma over Aij AJI AJR AIS, and similarly for omega s square. Now subtracting these two equations, we get omega square minus omega square sigma over I and j, AJI multiplied by AJR AJS is equal to 0. Now we can consider two cases. The case number 1 is when R is not equal to S. If R is not equal to S, then that means for this equation to satisfy sum over Ij AJI AJR into AJS must be equal to 0. On the other hand, if R is equal to S, then we need to examine the term Aij, Air, As. Now the kinetic energy term T is half Aij eta I dot eta j dot. Substituting for eta in terms of the amplitudes and the frequency, the kinetic energy term T is equal to omega r square sigma over I and j Aij, Air, Ajr, and which is always positive. Therefore, this term sigma over Ij, Aij, Air is always positive. The sum is positive, so we can normalize it and we can write that this sum is equal to 1. So having normalized the sum and combining it with the equation 14.25, we have the orthogonality condition that sigma over I and j of Aij, Air, Ajs is delta Rs. So the vectors AR are said to constitute an orthonormal set. In terms of matrices, this equation can be written as A transpose into capital A into A is equal to 1. A matrix A is said to be orthogonal if A transpose A is equal to 1. Let us now define the normal coordinates. The general solution which we obtained for the motion of the coordinates eta j is the sum over terms, each of which depends on the individual eigenfrequencies. The coefficients are normalized. We can rewrite the solution by multiplying with a constant scale factor, which in general is complex. So we can write this generalized solution eta j as sigma over r of some cos CR AJR e to the power I omega RT, and with this we can define a new coordinate xi of r, which is called the normal coordinate, as xi of r is equal to CR e to the power I omega RT, in terms of which the original coordinate eta j becomes sigma over r AJR xi r of t. That is, the original coordinates can be written in terms of this normal coordinates xi r. The new normal coordinates now undergo oscillations with only one frequency, omega r, and xi rt satisfies the equation of motion xi r double dot plus omega r square xi r is equal to 0. Now, there are n such independent coordinates, and the equation of motion expressed in these normal coordinates are completely separable. Note that eta j dot is equal to sigma over j AJR xi r dot, and the kinetic energy T we know is half sigma over I and j Aij eta I dot eta j dot. Substituting in this the kinetic energy, substituting the expression for kinetic energy, the eta I in terms of normal coordinates, and using the orthonormal property, the kinetic energy can be written as half times sigma over r xi r dot square. Similarly, the potential energy also can be diagonalized, and the potential energy can also be written in terms of xi r as half sigma over r omega r square xi r square. And the Lagrangian L is now simply equal to T minus U is equal to half sigma over I xi r dot square minus omega r square xi r square, the sum of n independent terms like this. And the equation for a given xi r is then simply xi r double dot plus omega r square xi r is equal to 0. So notice that the system expressed in terms of normal coordinates render the potential and kinetic energy of the system in the diagonal form, and the motion of the system completely separates into independent motions on normal coordinates. Each normal coordinate oscillates with its eigenfrequencies. In order to completely specify the transformation to normal coordinates, we will require the specification of complex quantities CRs introduced earlier in the definition of normal coordinates. So these can be completely determined from the initial conditions on the coordinates eta i's and the velocities eta I dot at t is equal to 0. Makes a small departure from its equilibrium position. Then the system executes a motion as if the interaction is simple harmonic. And this result is independent of the exact nature of the potential field and is true so long as the departure from equilibrium is very small.